Roti. What does this word mean to you? To me, roti is synonymous with my dear Nana, my maternal grandfather. A whiff of bosabshad roti smothered with ghee, butter or oil on a hot tower invokes deep childhood memories of seeing my Nana kneading gigantic basins or mixing bowls of dough for weddings, prayers or pujas, Ramayan, pronounced Ramayan, and religious festivals such as Diwali, Eid and Phagwa. The Singh brothers are all expert roti makers, and although some are no longer with us in this physical world, their love of food and cooking still lives on in their children and grandchildren. Today, on the 175th Indian Arrival Day anniversary in Trinidad and Tobago, I present my recipe for bosabshad roti with a special guest, my Nana. Bosabshad is a type of paratha roti that was brought to Trinidad and Tobago by the East Indian indentured labourers. They brought their food, culture and traditions to the West Indies, and it has now become a staple on our multi-ethnic twin island. Roti is native to the Indian subcontinent and there are so many different types. Our bosabshad has evolved from the traditional Indian paratha. On the Indian subcontinent and Southeast Asia, parathas are usually unleavened. The main ingredients are atta or whole wheat flour, salt and ghee, butter or oil. However, in Trinidad and Tobago, bosabshad is made using white flour, baking powder, salt and ghee, butter or oil. The Indian paratha is usually dense and crispy, whereas the West Indian paratha or bosabshad is soft and flaky. Lachha paratha or Petai paratha is similar to bosabshad. Bosabshad is usually eaten with vegetarian tarkaris, curries and stews. If you're new to this type of roti, you're probably wondering why the name bosabshad. It translates to a busted up or torn shirt. Instead of shirt, the Indian indentured labourers pronounced it shut. Likewise, they pronounced skirt scot and hot hat. Their language evolved from the fusion of the Hindi and Trinbagonian vernaculars. Now, Nana and I will teach you how to make some delicious, soft and flaky bosabshad roti. To knead the dough, here I have some all-purpose flour, baking powder, salt and some hot water. To prevent your bowl from shifting as you make the dough, place a damp paper towel or kitchen towel underneath to keep it steady. To a mixing bowl, add flour, salt and baking powder and mix well to incorporate the ingredients. Nana usually needed large amounts of dough, so he used both hands to mix everything. Make a well in the center and pour the hot water a little at a time. For 3 cups of flour, the dough usually requires 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 cups of hot water. Of course, the amount of water you'll need will vary based on the humidity of where you live. Use a spoon or your hands to bring the dough together. Since the water is hot, you may want to use a spoon initially. I can't say that Nana used hot water because I never got his exact recipe. This method works well for me and results in soft and silky roti just like Nana's. Using your hand, squeeze the dough until it's soft, sticky and a bit rough. Bread makers and pastry chefs refer to this texture as shaggy. Rub some ghee on both sides and let it rest for about 5 minutes. And instead of ghee, you can use oil, butter, lard or vegetable shortening. If you used room temperature water to knead the dough, you should leave it to rest for about 20 minutes. After the dough has rested, it's time to make the loyas. Separate the large dough into smaller dough balls or loyas, and from 3 cups of flour, I usually get 4 average sized loyas or 7 to 10 mini ones. My tower is 12 inches in diameter, and if your tower is smaller, make smaller loyas, and if it's bigger, make them to suit. Do the poke test. Poke the dough using your index finger, and if it pops back out quickly, it's not ready. If it slowly pops back out, leaving an indentation, then it's ready. Using both hands, open the dough by rotating it while using your fingers to press it out. Now lay it on the chowki or on your work surface and roll out the loya using a belna or a rolling pin. If you don't have one, you can use a glass bottle, like a wine bottle for instance. And this is a judgment-free zone. Use what's available or what works for you. Roll out the dough as big as possible. The bigger the surface area, the more flaky and soft the roti will turn out. Use some dry flour if the dough is sticking to the chowki or the belna. Spread some ghee, oil, butter, lard or vegetable shortening and sprinkle a bit of flour on top. I usually use ghee or butter individually, but a mixture of ghee or butter combined with lard yields the softest results. I usually always have butter on hand, so I use it more frequently. But today, I'm happy to have some ghee so I can show you the results. Nana used fern leaf butter in his roti, and I can't find it in the stores, so I usually use Kerrygold butter or Anchor. Using your finger or a knife, cut the dough starting from the center to the edge. Now roll the dough in the direction that's easiest for you. The tighter and smaller the rolls are, the more layers you'll get, so roll accordingly. Fold the end into the base of the cone and gather the layers and tuck them in so they're not visible. The next time they'll make their appearance is when they meet their dabbler friends. Using your index finger and thumb, tuck the pointed tip of the cone into the center. Using the same mixture for the filling, pat the top surface of the loya and set aside. Here's another method I learned. This is usually done when making the Punjabi Lachha parathas. So I actually like storing the loyas in the fridge overnight, and my mom also does this. You want to place them into a freezer bag or an airtight container. In my opinion, the longer it sits, the softer the roti turns out. You can also freeze the loyas for about 2 weeks. If you want to make them on the same day, just let them sit or soak for about 10 to 15 minutes or for a few hours if you can. Now is the fun part. It's time to roll out and cook the roti. If the loyas were refrigerated or frozen, let them come to room temperature before rolling out. Place a tower or cast iron pan on medium heat. Grab one of the loyas and keep the others in the freezer bag or container, or simply cover with a kitchen towel. Press the dough out to flatten it and dust the surface with some flour. Roll the dough out, ensuring that it's thin. Here's a technique I learned by watching my mom. Roll out the edges first to ensure that they're thin, and then roll from the center outwards. This technique is really useful, especially when making massive roti. Sprinkle some dry flour to prevent the dough from sticking to the belna or chowki. Flip and keep rolling or belaying until you get the desired thinness. Here, Uncle Ramesh, Nana's brother, is rolling out the dough. Do you see how easy and smooth it's rolling out? Once you knead the dough soft enough, you won't get much resistance. I love the art of roti making. For me, it's therapeutic and comforting. Now, brush the tower with a combination of ghee and oil. I used avocado oil and ghee here, but you can use the oil that you like. And you don't have to use both together, you can use whatever you prefer. To spread the oil on the tower, a traditional brush called a puchara is used. An enamel cup, a brush, or even a paper towel all work great once they do the job. Now pick up the rolled out dough and place it onto the tower. Spread or brush some more of that ghee oil mixture and flip after about 15 seconds. Use 2 dabblers or spoon handles, or even 2 flat wooden spoons or spatulas. Continuously rotate the roti on the tower to ensure that it cooks evenly. Also, start pulling the edges to the center so it cooks properly. At this point, you'll see those lovely layers that we made earlier. Now is their time to shine. Without doing much, those delicate layers will start to reveal themselves as you continuously flip and rotate the roti. If you like the roti a bit brown, let it cook a little while longer. Now, use one of your dabblers as an anchor, and using your dominant hand, hit the roti a few times, bringing the edges to the center. Rotate the roti while doing this to expose those gorgeous layers. Flip and do the same. You can also beat the roti with the 2 dabblers simultaneously. If you overcook the roti on the tower, it'll get hard and crispy. So if you like it that way, then cook it a little extra. Nana is sharing his technique here. This is usually done when making larger roti. Using the 2 dabblers, pull both edges inward, then give it one strong lash. Is this considered roti abuse? Cause this roti getting relics. Once it's silky, soft and flaky and cooked all the way through, take the roti off the tawa and place it into an insulated box or onto foil or parchment paper. Here I'm placing mine onto parchment paper and then wrapping it tightly in a kitchen towel. This keeps it nice and warm and the steam helps to maintain the softness. Here's my mom's cousin Sinal preparing the foam box for the roti. This was traditionally used, but due to environmental and health concerns, some roti makers use different storage methods now. If for some reason you roll your dough out and it's a bit bigger than the tawa, don't stress, just cut it in half and cook it that way. The shape actually doesn't matter here, it's the taste. Don't stress about making the roti round. Once it's cooked and edible, you're good to go. Once the roti is finished, it's time to eat. Since it's Indian arrival day, I decided to make some curries and some tarkaris. Curried lobster and shrimp, curry chana and aloo, bhaji and mango tarkari. If you have excess roti, wrap in foil or parchment paper and place into a freezer bag or an airtight container, and you can freeze it for up to 3 months or refrigerate for a few days. Reheat the roti by wrapping it in foil and placing it into the oven for 10 to 12 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. You can also wrap in damp paper towel and microwave at 10-second intervals. If you want the roti really crispy, reheat them on the tawa or a pan. Brush with some ghee or oil and cook for a few minutes. Bus-up-shot roti takes such a beating, but the end result is mouth-wateringly good. Like a bus-up-shot, we should always endeavor to turn our hardships into something beautiful. Comment below, what do you like to eat bus-up-shot with? One of my favorite memories of the roti making process was the pepper roti that they made after. The same dough was used and filled with peppery seasoned aloo or potatoes, cheese, carrots, and sometimes they added sweet peppers. It was a quick snack after they did all that hard work. We all surrounded them and waited patiently for that scrumptious pepper roti to come off the tawa. I loved the old talks and the jokes among everyone as we shared pepper roti. Such great memories. Happy Indian Arrival Day, everyone! On May 30th, 1845, when our first ancestors departed the Fatal Razak, they brought their rich heritage with them. Not only did they enrich the sugarcane industry, but they were also monumental in transforming the cuisine of Trinidad and Tobago as we know it today. Today and every day, I honor the memory of my ancestors and the sacrifices they made, and I continuously strive to preserve their rich cultural traditions. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'd like to say a special thank you to Auntie Mala and my cousin Vaidan for these amazing videos. If you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up, share your comments and your thoughts below, and subscribe and ring the bell to be notified every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for spending time with us, learning how to make bus-up-shot roti. Take care and stay safe and healthy. Bye!